As we come together, infinite peace unfolds as each one of us relax. In this sacred now moment, I am aware of the presence of the divine. I recognize there is only one. Sweet, sweet spirit, infinite presence, source of all that is. Abounding with presence, with oneness, with peace. This moment, joining in prayer, uniting in faith, I affirm and accept the miracle workings of divine manifestation. That glorious power that does the healing, the loving, the fulfilling work within each of us. I know I am one with divine mind, one with all that is. Each of us is one with divine power that is constant and enduring. Each of us is planting seeds that come to life as the highest and best in our daily lives. I see this all-encompassing power, knowing that Source is the pillar of our lives. This power is with us now. We are blessed by the gifts of presence, openness, and peace. Right here, right now, I am aware of my breath. This breath is life-giving. I am aware of my heartbeat, energy pulsing through every cell in my body. Each of us is a channel of divine good. Each of us infused with wholeness and generating strength and vitality. I affirm the unlimited inheritance we have as spiritual beings. When I see a little green plant grow through concrete, grow through stone, I am inspired. Regardless of conditions, this little green plant blooms. It lives its truth. Infinite presence always being with all of life. And so I know the words spoken today, they inspire this presence. The music is openness. Our community is peace. I am in deep gratitude for our coming together, each of us opening up as channels of divine good. I release this into spiritual law, which expresses naturally and eternally. Day by day, in every way, divinity supports me. Day by day, in every way, divinity supports us. And so in closing, I simply say, and so it is.
So this, I'm going to start off this year by doing something that I've never done before, which is a 12-week series based on a single book of talks. And the book is called Revolutionary Agreements, which I think Buffy is looking like she has over there. Mine ended up staying at Camp Cedar Ridge last week on vacation, so it's coming up this afternoon and Buffy is going to bring it up. Anyways, we love this book. Both of us have read this. And so, thank you, Vanna. Thank you, Vanna. And it's the subtitle of it is A Personal Path to Peace on Earth. A personal path. That's a you and me path to peace on earth. So we oftentimes say we love peace on earth, but we have no idea how to make it happen. This is some of the start of it. So agreements, having a foundation of healthy agreements, is a foundation upon which to build everything else. We're creating lives we love. So Buffy is actually going to be leading what we're calling conversation forums. So if you're excited about this, you can meet at her house from 2 to 4 o'clock, and for a deeper exploration, kind of a small group conversation about it. And she's got directions to her house and stuff. So Buffy, if you'll stand up for a minute for the people who don't know who you are, and she'll give those out after service. So we're going to kind of dive into this, and there's 3 categories that we're going to play in. And I guess, do we already have the slide up? No. Could you put that? slide up. And so the three categories this is divided into are truth, acceptance, and gratitude. And if we could say that there's one agreement that comes out of all of this, it's I agree to be my authentic self. Say that to yourself. I agree to be my authentic self. And our authentic self, if we think it's just all about me, it's our authentic self is unitive, it's connected. And so when I'm being my authentic capital S self, I'm also connected to all of you. We're all connected to each other, yes? Okay. So this is what we're going to be playing with. So the first set of agreements, the first four are, I agree to be who I am. That's the truth. That's living in truth. The section on acceptance is, I accept others for who they are. Breathe. And then the third one is, I appreciate the gift of this moment. And that's the gratitude. And some of these are going to be obvious and easy, and you say, oh yeah, I'm already doing this. And some of them are going to be a little challenging. In the book, she uses the metaphor of kind of the papa bear, mama bear, baby bear sort of thing. So some of these are going to be just baby bears for us. Some of these are going to be big old papa bears. And some of these are going to be mama bears just right in the middle. So we're going to be playing with this. And we're going to also then explore it in the forums. So we'll start off with truth, that section on truth. And you can move on to the next slide. George Orwell said, during times of universal deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. During times of universal deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. I'm hoping that you'll join me in a revolution. Yes. A revolutionary act. Yes. Yes. And truth is what's true and authentic for you right now, to the best of your knowledge, the best of your understanding, the best of your ability. The truth, your truth, may change over time. Not the capital T truth we speak of in religious science, but my truth, your truth, may change a little bit over time. How many of you have a different version of truth than you did 40 years ago, for those who are that old? Okay? Or 30 years ago, or whatever. Okay? So we don't have to cling to it just because once upon a time we believed it was true. Emerson said, a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. So our curiosity and our openness to life and our just being on the path of expanding, and if you're sitting in this kind of a center, you're on the path of expanding. I know you are. That's why you're here. Yeah, that path will expand us into new horizons, new viewpoints, which may expand our understanding of our truth. Just as the same way that when we learned multiplication, it expanded our understanding of addition, right? Addition didn't become not true, but we've learned a different way to move from 5s to 25. It wasn't I have to have 5 of these 25, so I can just go 5 times 5 equals 25, yes? I hope I got my math right. So the first agreement is I agree to live my mission. Gandhi said to believe in something and not to live it is dishonest. Believe in something and not to live it is dishonest. Hoping to live as we truly are, as we truly know ourselves to be and authentically desire, if we put that off into someday when I have enough money, someday when I have the right person in my life, someday when I have the right circumstances, someday when I have the right decision, the right time, the right amount of time, all that will result in learning that someday never comes. Yes? When I was going through personal growth seminars, they called it Someday I'll. And it was I-S-L-E, but I''L-L. Someday I'll. Someday I'll. And someday I'll is a distant, far place that never actually shows up in our lives. Today is the only day we have to live. Today is the only day we have to live. We used to work on an idea that today was the first day of the rest of our lives and also the last day of the rest of our lives. And to live it as such. To live it as such. So we can truly feel fulfilled today by identifying what we love, what is truly important to us. And by love, I don't mean, like I love chocolate, okay? You all know that I love chocolate. If you've been coming here 2 or 3 times, you all know that I love chocolate. I'm not talking about that kind of love. I'm talking about what really moves us, what really motivates us, and then letting that guide our daily actions. So this agreement does a couple of things here. First of all, it pulls us out of someday thinking. Secondly, it calls for us to identify our mission. And some of us sit there and go, mission? I don't have no stinking mission. We did an intentions retreat yesterday and the day before, and when we got to the part of we're gonna play with our purpose, there was a couple of people who went, I don't have a purpose. I don't want to talk about purpose. But we all have a mission, whether we're conscious of it or not. And then thirdly, it's to actually live our mission and to live our truth, which is also challenging. To let our everyday choices and activities express our authentic self. And we may not be able to have everything we want right now, but we can identify and incorporate the essence of what we want into our daily life, which expands the experience of living our authentic life. When I talk about essence, whatever we want, one of the things I invite us to do is look at if I had that, what would it mean to me? How would I feel? What is the core of that? I've told the story that 35 years ago I wanted a new Miata when they first came out. And it's like, oh, it's wonderful, I got to have one. And after 2.5 years of not manifesting a Miata, I was living in Edmonds at the time, and I was sitting above the waterfront in Edmonds and having what I call a conversation with God, which involved a lot of fist shaking and swear words. And why the blankety blank don't I have my Miata? Because going for 2.5 years without manifesting a car was not my normal experience of things. And I literally heard this voice say to me, look at the seats in the Miata. There's only 2. And I had a girlfriend and 2 daughters at the time. And then I said, look at the trunk of the Miata. And I taught these preparation classes, training classes for the Seattle to Portland bike ride, which involved hauling a lot of stuff with me. And especially the early Miatas, the trunk would hold a briefcase. And so I had to go back and say, okay, so what is it about the Miata that really moves me? What really calls me? What is it that's the essence of that? And so I realized it's the convertible and my hair, flowing in the, long hair flowing in the wind, and just the feeling of freedom and all this and playfulness and aliveness that I felt. And within about 6 weeks, I had a Chrysler LeBaron convertible that bypassed all the barriers that I'd had about walking in and trying to buy a Miata, and it came to me just easily, and it just flowed. It just flowed. So what's the essence of what we want? When we move it into our life, Ernest Holmes tells us that our thinking creates tendencies and trends. It doesn't mean we just magically go poof, and there it is. I want this, I want it now, and there it is. Once in a big while that happens, but what we're really doing is training our minds to think differently, to think more expansively, to think more authentically. Who do I really want to be? What is it that I really want in my life? When Alice asked the Cheshire Cat, which way should I go? And the cat replies, that depends a good deal on where you want to go. And Alice looks at the cat and says, I don't much care where. And the cat says, then it doesn't matter which way you go. If you don't know where you want to go, if you don't have a place in mind that's intention, it doesn't matter. But don't complain when you get there. Or don't get there. So where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? What is your mission? Your mission can be a big, grand life vision, or it can be something that is calling you at this moment. Something that you know in your heart is just calling you at this moment. There's no one way to describe mission other than what is calling me at this moment. This weekend at the Intentions Retreat, we explored the idea of passion and purpose. What is my passion and what is my purpose? And that informs my life. Our purpose is who we are and our being in life. And most people came to realize that their purpose is usually quite simple, not some big grand, statement that they'll put on a, huge, thing, but just a really simple thing. My purpose is being creative. My purpose is serving. My purpose is, whatever, being just loving. My purpose is being playful. And that they've been living it in various ways throughout their life all this time. And oftentimes when we come across our purpose, it's either a, well, duh experience. It's like, oh yeah, or it's that. Well, I just do that because it feels natural. It's just who I am. It's like, yeah, I was the kid who was always in love with God. Gee, maybe I should be a minister. But it took, 55 years to come to that conclusion, So when we understand our purpose, we can plug it into every aspect of our life. In fact, we probably already are. One of my other purposes is to be creative. I love being creative. And when I was in my 20s, I did photography. I was a photography major in college and did photography for a good 10 years, semi-professionally. And part of that time, early on in that time, I had a job in Portland working for Aetna Life and Casualty, Medicare claims insurance, right? Doesn't sound like creativity, right? But every morning I would get up at 4 o'clock, drive out to some place where I could catch the early morning light. I would drive up to Trillium Lake outside, down below Mount Hood and catch the pink, sunrise on Mount Hood, or I would drive someplace else that really, caught that light, and I'd be sitting there in a three-piece suit or a suit, and I'd put on hiking boots to not sully my dress shoes. This is the 70s, so dress code was a thing for insurance companies. But I'd be out there, on this, cold frozen lake, photographing, jump back into my car, run into, to work, go to work, leave, and head for someplace that I could catch the late light, the evening light, as the sun was setting in that warm evening light. What was my priority? Was it Aetna Life and Casualty? No, it was the photography. I thought about it, I read about it, I studied, I lived, breathed, and it existed in that for so long. I also realized afterwards that I was at the same time studying Zen Buddhism, and I was trying to catch the essence of everything I photographed. What is the Zen of this? What is the essence, the core of this? And there's that spiritual aspect in the creativity, because I like to create in the spiritual realm. So it can be that simple. You're probably already doing your purpose, just not recognizing that you're doing your purpose. So in order to get closer to our mission, we can ask, what do I really want? What do I really want? Not what should I want. How many of us have our list of what I should want, right? Yeah. Or what do others expect of me and what I should want? Breathe. But what is my heart and soul calling or longing for? As we spend time listening to our heart and our soul, to our inner higher wisdom self, we'll get clearer on our current mission. And our mission isn't a goal to achieve or a task to accomplish. No, our mission is something to be lived, to be personified in our life. Agreeing to live our mission is agreeing to live it into our daily lives, to embody it, to take it in and live it and be it. And doing so, because it's connected to our passion and purpose, an expression of our heart and soul, brings to us a joy and a satisfaction because we are living in alignment with our authentic self. And trust me, there's nothing better than living in alignment with your authentic self. You look in the mirror every morning, you're at peace. In our intentions retreat, we're working with a book called Dream by Marcia Wieder, or Wider, I'm not sure how you pronounce that last name, but partway through that book, there's a list of 10 qualities to look for when you're in your dream, your authentic dream, and how does it feel this way, all this stuff. And I went down that list, and I went, yes, 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 yeah. And it's like, yeah, I'm the kid who loved, playing, mass in the basement when my friends were out playing baseball. I've been the Zen Buddhist and the Taoist and all this stuff all my life. I've been in love with God. It's like I'm doing what I love. I get to be creative. My favorite part of this is the administrative paperwork of this church. No, it's not. That's why I'm grateful for Tiffany and Sandy. my joy is the creativity of writing talks, creating workshops, creating classes, and that, and it shows. And so, what do we do with that? What brings us joy and satisfaction of living in our authentic self? And you already know that. You really do already know that. You've experienced it. And some of you might say, yes, I already feel this, and others might look at your current circumstances and say, no way, I can't live that. But the truth is, for our physical, mental, and spiritual health, we can't not live it. We're here to live our mission. That's what Spirit wants to do through us and be through us. And trust me, I've tried to say no to Spirit for a long time. It doesn't work in the long run. It just makes you really tired. How real do I want to get? So this past week, many of you know I was on vacation. I was at a New Thought New Year little mini retreat, whatever, with a bunch of ministers and practitioners down at Camp Cedar Ridge. There's about 20 of us. And in the middle of it, I decided I was joining another person who does an annual visioning program on around the New Year's time. Her name is Ray Jordan, wonderful practitioner. And so I got onto this Zoom call. I'm sitting in the only place I could have any privacy there was in the camp store, which had no heat. So it was 37 degrees outside, 37 degrees inside. I was not going to fall asleep during that visioning. And, we started with a little bit of quiet time. What do you really want? Or just, listening to Spirit. And then the question is, what do you want to vision on? Now, I knew walking in that I was going to vision on my ministry. And then, dang it, this voice said, relationship. I'm like, no! Anything but that. I have history. I have stuff. But it was like, that's what was calling, and I realized that's what's been calling my heart for a while. And so it's like, listen to your heart and your soul. What is calling? What is it that wants to move into your life? And even if you sit there and go, no way, I don't know how this can happen, and all this stuff, do it anyway. I got some wonderful insights out of that visioning. And strangely enough, I came to realize that as I move into relationship and deeper satisfaction in that way, it will also affect my ministry, which is what I was originally going to vision on. And when we start to live our authentic self, we realize it all ties together, it's all interconnected because it's all capital L life, it's all one. So this week, 4 practices. Can you handle 4? 4. It's the 4th, so may the 4th be with you, even though it's January the 4th. The first one, and they're somewhat tied together, so spend time asking your high wisdom self, what is my mission? What is my mission? If you don't know what it is, take some time to ask. That aspect of yourself that's a little smarter than your intellect is. You have one, by the way. What is my mission? An example that she gives in the book is to co-create peace on earth. And then ask, what is the essence of my mission? And for example, in that case, the essence is to experience peace. To experience peace. That's the second one. What is the essence of my mission? The third one is, what are 3 ways I can experience the essence of my vision, my mission every day? What are 3 ways that I can experience the essence of my vision, my mission every day? So if my mission is peace, might be 3 ways that I can experience peace every day? I might say, well, I can just do a deeper meditation. I can go spend time in nature. I might join an organization that's supporting peaceful works on earth. Something like that. And then the 4th one is, what is one small change I can make today? Which day? Today, to live the essence of my mission. To live in that. Because if we don't make some change to move into that, a little more towards that, it'll not happen. Okay. So are you willing to play with those 4 practices this week? Maybe this whole next several weeks. I want to close with a quote that comes from Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman. He says, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive and then go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. I invite you to come alive. So we have an affirmation. Say this with me. I agree to learn and live my mission with joy. I agree to learn and live my mission with joy. I put the with joy in there because sometimes we get real serious about our mission, and that's not our authentic mission. Our mission should be something that feels like play, that feels wonderful, and we're filled with joy when we do it.